Grayson, Waide. How do we spend our time? Do we watch a lot of TV? Do we play a lot of video games? Do we read a lot of books? Is there things in our lives that are distracting us from our spiritual walks? We need to, I think we struggle sometimes, if not a lot of the time, with prioritizing our physical things over our spiritual things and our spiritual journeys. We need to prioritize God over our possessions and our time spent with those. Please turn to Luke chapter 12. I'll be starting in verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who made me a judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." So Jesus was teaching to the crowd, and this man asked him to tell his brother to split the inheritance with him. Now, in the Jewish law, it stated that the older brother got a double portion of the inheritance and was to split the inheritance. So when this man was asking about the inheritance, he was wanting more than what he was owed. In the verse 15, he tells us to beware covetousness. Covetous means when you have a strong desire for something, that you have a strong or excessive desire for something, and more than that, it's when you have a strong or excessive desire for something someone else has. And so he's telling us to beware of this because if we have a strong or excessive desire for something, we will want to go for it and we will be distracted by it. In verse 16, and he told them a parable, saying, "The land of a rich man produced plentifully. And he thought to himself, 'What shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops.' And he said, 'I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods.'" So Jesus started telling this parable about a rich man, and this man had a lot of possessions, and his land produced plentifully, and he had no more room to store his crops. But he had so much stuff that he had multiple barns full of it and could not store any more. So he tore down his barns and he built these larger barns to store all of his grains and goods. He was so focused on his possessions and what he had that he was distracted. In verse 19, "And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.'" So the rich man was so focused on this stuff, and he told himself that he could relax and that he had nothing left to do for many years because of all the stuff that he stored up. Now, it's really easy to get focused on our possessions and get distracted. It's really easy for us to get distracted by our physical things. See, think of it like a video game. It takes discipline to do something that is hard, that we don't have any desire to do, but we need to do it anyway. Think of it like a video game or a game where you have a character, and this character has lots of different stats. Maybe it has intelligence, strength, charisma, and perception, and things like that. And it may take a level 10 intelligence to solve a riddle, or it may take a level 20 strength to move a large or heavy object. Now, what if there was a discipline stat? Now, how high of a discipline stat would we need to play a game that we really enjoy? It would really take no discipline at all, because we really enjoy that, and it's not something, we have better ways to fill our time. So what do we do when we lack discipline and find ourselves easily distracted? Well, when we can't help ourselves, we need someone else to help us. So when we lack that discipline and we can't stop ourselves from doing what we shouldn't and we can't do what we should, we need to find a partner to help us with that. We need a partner who can remind us of what to do. And the rich man was focused on his possessions so much, and in verse 20, God said to him, "Fool, this night your soul is required of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be? So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God." See, our possessions are not everything. Back in verse 15, when Jesus tells us, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." See, Jesus tells us what his point was before even starting his parable. There is more to life than our possessions, and we need to focus on the spiritual over the physical. So if there's something in our lives that is distracting us from God, then we need to fix that. And if we lack the discipline to do it ourselves, we need to find a partner. So my challenge for all of us is when we go home, we need to find someone to remind us of what we're supposed to be doing and hold us accountable. And I encourage you to do that as this week that we spent learning and growing and preparing these sermons comes to an end. Thank you.